Best Picture podcast. I'm Giovanni Lago, and today I am joined by the director and writer of Americana, Tony Tost, and the star, Paul Walter Hauser.
Hey Giovanni, how you doing?
Doing good. I saw Americana yesterday. I find this a now fascinating year for the idea of a modern Western, with this and Eddington. And I'm curious from your perspective, when you were crafting the story, there had to be plenty of influences from traditional Westerns that inspired you and what you've glamorized or romanticized the genre to be, but also the way you talk about a lot of things in the real world and how your view of the real world and how the American West is today conflicts ultimately with that romanticized feeling. I would love to talk about that intersection and how it ultimately led to the final result.
Yeah, I mean, well, you kind of just boiled it down there, man. That's kind of a little bit of my operating element, is to take a genre and archetypes and iconography that I love and that I recognize maybe has some limitations, and then have it connect with the realities that I see on the ground, and see how they can kind of inform each other, and not really necessarily try to write an editorial on the screen about how people feel about it, but just that I find that that friction between like legends and mythologies of the West and realities of the modern West, and kind of historical cycles and archetypes and things like that. I just find that just fascinating, because I mean, partly because I grew up in the rural West, and partly because I was raised on Westerns, and it's just fertile ground, I think.
No, I think also another thing about your writing that I really enjoyed, and roping Paul here, is that with each of these various stories and each of these characters, there's so many moving parts, but it feels that every character in their own way feels like the main character, that everything really devolves around them. And I think that is a very unique thing about this film. Paul, when you are building Lefty as a character, there's an incredibly self-depreciating aspect about him, but he's also incredibly charming. And I think that's also what makes his dynamic with Penny Joe so unique, and also a catalyst for plenty that goes on throughout the film. I would love to hear about, your conversations you had with Tony and bringing Lefty to life, and also building that dynamic with Sydney for Penny Joe.
Yeah. I once heard a minister, a pastor, in a sermon. He said, you ever meet somebody who is not good looking, but they're so confident that by the end of the interaction with them, you're like, they're kind of good looking.
Yeah.
I feel like he almost had some of that. Lefty is comfortable in his own skin. He knows who he is, and I don't think he's mourning the reality of who he is. He just wants someone to share it with. And that in itself is a weirdly attractive, trait, is the idea of some sort of knowing, or what I guess I would refer to as an earned contentment. And then, in comes this diner waitress who he's not really zeroing in on at first. If anything, he's practicing a speech for somebody else in front of him. But then, as fortune would favor it, they become entwined, and I don't think it's very hard to play a character that's attracted to a kind, nice diner girl. It feels like it's the identity of the kind of person he would end up with. I don't think he would end up with somebody who's like a high heel clip clop,
Works in finance.
who drives 60 miles every day to get to work in the city. I think it does make sense for them. I think for the audience, it's harder to connect a little bit, because I don't think they're thinking, yeah, Paul Hauser and Sydney Sweeney. They're thinking Powell and Sydney Sweeney. But I do think we have chemistry, and that's because we're both good actors with a good screenplay, and it becomes pretty easy at that point.
It's also that thing where I would love to rope Tony into this. There's so many characters in the film, so many great character actors. Like Simon Rex comes in and kills it for a bit. Or my personal favorite, Zahn McClarnon. Everything he does in the film is perfect. And I would just love to talk about, you know, building these characters to where they feel so lived in that you can get all these actors practically just step in, do their thing, and it works so smoothly, and building that ensemble. Also, I have to tie into the ghost dog bit, which I thought was like the funniest thing, and I was like laughing so hard. So I would love to learn about that too.
Yeah, I mean, the first version of the script, I was gonna try to do something like a Jim Jarmusch Night on Earth or
Okay.
Wild Tales. I was thinking like, okay, how do I get this made? Maybe I do a series of shorts and maybe I get cool actors and we can do it that way. And then partway through writing it, I was like, oh wait, these are all kind of in the same milieu, same landscape. It wouldn't take that much work to make it all one story. But I like that idea of keep having these chapters and have different characters almost take the turn being the lead of the movie. If nothing else, it got me out of the grid of a 3-act rise and fall typical storytelling. I could just jump into what I thought was the most interesting point of view at this point of the story and with this character, and give each character, and then kind of pace out like, you know, information or a scene where we connect with characters. You know, early on, I think Halsey's character, maybe you don't connect with her, but then you find out more, and then just through performance you learn more. So that was that was the appeal for me. And then, you know, yeah, like Zahn I had worked with on Longmire, so I wrote that with him in mind, and I'm just like, you know, if I get this made, would you be interested in doing this role? He's like, yeah, just let me know, you know, how it works. And then it was just a process of just finding some of my favorite actors and just, you know, taking some swings, and you know, got people like Paul or Simon and stuff like that. And it's also that idea of like, you know, or even just like Toby Huss to come in for a scene. I love Toby Huss, and just like, who can I bring in who I know is like, oh fuck, I love this dude. It's kind of giving exposition, but it's Toby Huss, so it's great.
Yeah, and he's got a great voice, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I think it all builds into just such a great intersection of everyone. Finally, all these stories diverging. I don't want to give away too much. You know, I am curious though, by the time everything does come to a close, everyone starts splintering off. It feels in a way that, you know, that feeling kind of reminisce for you right now and Paul, because, you know, you're wrapping up, you're promoting the movie. It comes to, have you thought about, you know, after this is your first feature, what's next? Do you want to make Westerns? Do you think, do you ever want to depart from that? Do you think there's still a lot that can be explored?
Well, I think I'm going to try to mine this sort of, I mean, I love Westerns. I love rural. I would love to do a proper Western, but that takes a lot of money. I'm, you know, I'm a working writer, you know, like I work mostly in TV. So I'm in the hustle of, you know, we're promoting this. I just finished show running season 2 of Poker Face. Now I'm kind of in the world of trying to get my next projects financed and stuff. So it's, you know, so there's like, you know, a handful of different things. But like, if I could, I would love to do like a, you know, start off my career with like a flyover trilogy or something where I'm doing kind of juicy genres and little pockets of America. That would be amazing. But we'll have to see, you know, what the movie gods have in mind.
Well, hopefully, you know, it all goes in our favor. I thought Americana was a very fun time. I think what you did in the film is fantastic. Paul, you're as fantastic as always. I feel like we always chat and you just keep knocking it out of the park. It's been a great year for you. So I'm excited to see what you two do next, and excited to talk to you guys in the future again, hopefully. So thank you for your time.
Thanks, Giovanni.
Appreciate it, man.
No problem.